I really hate Instagram today. It completely dropped us. That sucks. Instagram, you're going to be getting a strongly worded email. Hey, girl. I know.
All right.
And I think we just lost the whole entire of the beginning, too. Hey, Bogger Welder.
All right.
I
We're
think
back.
we lost that whole entire segment right now.
No.
Yes, I know.
Ah,
Stupid Instagram. I swear this platform is not made for live. Sometimes when
no.
it's overwhelmed with people, it drops. And that's the first I was not even able to capture the video.
No. That's all right. The
I know.
people that saw it live got the goodies.
Well, and we haven't even got to the good stuff yet.
Oh
Uh,
no.
but yeah, like we're just, I like to pick on instructors because like we're just a different breed.
True. It's true.
Cool to see everybody's different perspective on things. You know what I mean? It's your students will tell you one thing when they've had a not very good experience with another instructor, and you're just like, well, what is it? And they're like, when they tell you they're just not you, you know that you're doing something well, but I'm like, I want more. Like, what is it?
Yeah.
It's teaching style for you to be able to pivot to different students, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think also there's a timing in teaching that a lot of people don't understand because when we first started a semester, I'm all over 'em nonstop, and then you want to encourage them to have some self sufficiency, so you start to like bring it back and bring it back, and then you start asking them, okay, what do you see? Instead of me just regurgitating what I'm telling you, now it's your turn. Like, what are
Yeah,
you seeing? Or are you just bringing it to me to give you reassurance? Because I'm happy to give you the reassurance that you need, but also it's time for you to take the reins and figure it out. And not a
yeah.
lot of people understand how to do that and to do it in a like way that feels good to the student.
Sure. Well, and at the same time, out in the field, they're not going to have this support system. You know what I mean? So they have to learn to be free on their own, and know that they're not going to have that blackboard, or they're not going to have the videos, or they're not going to have a teacher patting them on their back. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
gradually take it back from them and tell them, like, this is now you out in the field. I'm not going to say yes or no. You tell me whether or not that is going to fly under an X-ray.
That's right.
I don't know. Some of them freak out, some of them don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Uh,
they also need that confidence boost as well. And I think those are like the soft skills that are so hard for some people to teach,
Mhm.
but are just as important as the hard skill of running a bead.
Sure.
Like, can you analyze what's happening right in front of you instead of waiting for somebody to come tell you what's wrong with it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, what was it that you got burnt out about when you were teaching?
So when you move further up in academia, as being like lead instructors, department chairs, whatever the title is, there's a lot of politics that's involved, and it takes you away from the joy of actually engaging with the students. And there also becomes a point where I noticed teaching full time. I was teaching 5 to 8 classes a day or a week.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so it was a lot, and you you get so tired of fighting the same fights. You get so tired of there's so many students sometimes that come in that mom and dad made them be there. They don't really want to be there, and you're trying to motivate people, and then you're beating your head against the wall in the politics of trying to get things done. Because you deal with folks who have been on the higher ups side of things for 20, 30 years, and that's the way they've always wanted it. That's the way they always do it. And we don't change, we don't do that, and just after a while you just get real burned out of fighting those fights. And I think sometimes you have to go back out into the world and remember what you're doing, why you're doing it, and
Yes.
then find your calling again.
Yes. No, I completely feel that right now. Yeah, trust me, I get it. And it's interesting because when you talk to people who are on like the boards and are helping to make the decisions, like politics will burn you the F out, and
Quicker
it's
than anything.
you forget like why you even love welding and why you're here. And you're like, this is not why you started to teach in the beginning. But it's at the same time, it's also a job. So unless you actually run the school yourself, You have to abide by other people's rules, unfortunately. And
Yeah,
I think that's probably my biggest downside about working with a major institution and not a private school, because you're bound basically by what they feel is a necessity to push out as far as numbers, like
yeah,
we need to have these many certifications, and they don't get the idea, because they're not welders. The
yeah,
majority of them have never even laid a bead, or,
yeah,
it's just, and I'm not talking shit about it. It's just, this is a big corporation, the majority of them, right? And so they absolutely know the importance of having the trade program, but they don't necessarily understand the details of why we're doing it. It's not just to push a certification. It's not just for a kid to graduate. This is creating someone's livelihood.
yeah,
And it's, to make sure that things are structurally sound. So when they go out in the field, they don't kill somebody, and the
yeah,
importance of having, a proper budget and on time so that you can have less stress, because teaching is just, especially welding, it's just, you have to have everything at the same time. I remember one time I had no metal, no gas, right? Um, and we were going through COVID. So like we were working in a remote campus, and it was just stressful upon stress, and I was
yeah,
thinking, how am I supposed to run a class without like the basic necessities? You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, interesting. So what do I do here? And you're like fighting with your head, like, what the hell do I do? Because at the end of the day, you're still having to do your job.
yeah.
Oh,
You're the face of that. The students don't understand
no.
all of the things behind it. You're just the one that they see, and you have to make this work no matter what. And you're
Right.
just like, okay, so this is what we're doing today.
How well were you able to just like pivot? You're like, at some point when you teach, when things don't go the way they're supposed to according to your plan, and you got the greater plan, working against you. You're like, all right, what do I do here? Video,
Yeah.
videos, art, like, what do we do?
Yeah, man, adapt and overcome. I've come up with all kinds of crazy things. Like poster board is the shit when you're stuck and you don't have metal or something. You're just like, let's make art. We're gonna do this thing. I've taught metallurgy using the styrofoam balls and the little pencils and stuff to make the molecule. Like I've
We're going back to fifth grade. I don't even.
Yeah, we're bringing it back, man. We're doing what we gotta do.
You know what? It's funny because you hit it right on the head when it comes to like the students don't realize, like, they just think everything's going to go perfect because it's a college school, and
Mm-hmm.
like that's just the way in their head. You're like, we don't even have gas. What do
You're
we
like,
do?
little do y'all know how disorganized we actually are. That's cool.
What? I know.
It's the
Oh,
dog meme, right? It's the dog with the cup of coffee, and then as it zooms out, the house is on fire, and it's like everything is fine.
it's fine.
That's
It's fine.
teaching.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, that's teaching.
Basic. Oh yeah, absolutely. What's one of your most memorable experiences when it comes to teaching?
Oh my god, I've been teaching for so long.
I gotta hear.
Um,
That's why I asked, because I know you've got to have some killer experiences. We're gonna go good one and bad one.
okay. Man, I would say the best part, and it's hard to break down into one specific thing, is just when you know you've made a difference. I've been asked to go to weddings of former students. I've been asked, like, and I've been involved in their life through social media. They reach out to me still 10, 12 years later, catch me up on their life. I think that is probably the best part, and seeing them grow into human beings, adults, right? Because you get them when they're 18 sometimes, and by the time 10 years down the road, they're 28, they've got kids, they're doing the thing. Like that right there is the best thing. The worst thing, I mean, I got stories. I should write a book, but you
You
put me on
should.
this. You put me on the spot. I can't think of a whole lot of stories off the top of my head, but you get those students in there that are just, you're like, why are you here? Like everything about you doesn't want to be here. Your attitude doesn't want to be here. You're bringing down everybody else,
Yes.
and having to like navigate that is definitely hard. It's definitely one of the hardest parts about it. And I mean, I'm sure we could trade
Just
war
want to shake the
stories.
shit out of them.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, why are you here? And then it usually comes out that like they've been pressured to make a decision that they're not prepared for, and then you have to like hopefully have a like coming to Jesus talk with them. where you're like, hey, it's okay if this isn't what you want to do, and also it's okay for you to try to figure it out. But whatever you try, you need to actually try, because you're never going to figure out if you don't actually try.
Yes.
Period. Whether that's welding, whether that's HVAC, whether that's bagging groceries, if you don't actually try, you're never going to know for sure if that's your jam.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's I like the good and the bad. You got to take it with teaching, you know what I mean? But
Yeah, you get good classes and they're just amazing. It's like this special chemistry. And then you get those bad classes that you just,
you
you know
go home
exactly what I'm talking about. You're
out
just
of it.
like, you're in survival mode the whole semester. You're just like, we just have to get through this group. We just have to get through this group. It's fine. Everything's fine. We're just, whew, yeah,
I like I've had it so bad where I was like, I don't even want to walk in the classroom. Like,
yeah,
God, and it's usually not the entire class. It's just usually one person, and you're like, please don't let the ghetto come out of me today. Please, I want to
yeah.
job.
Yeah, you're like, oh, if this was outside of here, man, we'd be having a different conversation. Oh, you're like, oh, that guy's got to get fired like 5 times before he figures some things out. You just know.
I actually had a situation. It was with a younger student, and oh God, I guess I raised my own children differently. And I don't get the younger generation sometimes. So it's always a constant evolution of just trying to figure out the younger generation right
Yeah.
now. And I say it as if I'm like 150. I'm 42, but like they're just different compared to the
Hmm.
we grew up. Like there's a lack of respect. There's a lack of accountability. It's just just attention. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
what, what's going on here? Why are you even here? Like
The
I don't.
amount of hand holding that they get dealt from the time that they start pre K through 12th grade uh, doesn't allow for a lot of accountability and critical thinking development, because it's all about passing a test now. And so there's a lot of struggle to communicate with them. And then also, we come from because I'm 39. We come from a generation pre social media, pre cell phones at all times. I think it's becoming harder for people to communicate in a
Oh,
way.
period.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
It's so weird
absolutely.
that you say that. That's absolutely true. And it's actually bleeding into our generation. I've noticed, I have to actively tell my students, put the phone away. And you guys know I love social media. Like I'm like fucking social media
Yeah,
guru. Like I will make a reel, no big deal, be talking because I love the fact that there's a correlation between the interaction online and seeing it and the visibility. But at the same time, if you when you're working, put it away.
yeah,
Learn it. There's a time and place for everything. You don't
yeah,
have to when you're sitting there engaged on a cell phone, you don't know how to have those critical thinking skills as part just to articulate what you want, or
yeah,
feel like you're ample enough to talk to another human being. And I've noticed that, and even in like just in dating, you know what I mean? People cannot even communicate like face to face. I'm like, don't you know how to pick up a phone? Am I that old? Like, is just that's just people don't do that anymore. It's a foreign
yeah.
concept. I'm thinking this is so weird. But we can be on TikTok, dancing, but we can't communicate as human adults. I'm like, this
Yeah,
is
there's that filter of the phone between you and the other person, so it's almost like a safety net.
it's
And
so
but I
weird.
also think that there's a thing about there's a time and place, right? Like when you are wherever you are, like engage, get the most out of it. But it's also okay to take some time to just dissociate, right? Everything is so overwhelming in our society nowadays, right? Everything's politicized and it's big. It's everything just feels so big these days. And I think it's important to be able to just check out from time to time, and whether that's, I love a good TikTok checkout, right?
That
You just
turns into 3 or 4 hours.
yeah,
Whoops.
and then you get the message where they're like, "Hey, you've been scrolling for a while," and I'm like, "I don't need your judgment, TikTok. Thank you."
you know,
But I think it's
alone.
important to give you space for that, but also like
Absolutely.
you have to pepper it. And sometimes I forget. Sometimes you get so overwhelmed wherever you are that you just like, I just need a minute to zone out, and it can be difficult. But yeah, I think that that is definitely a struggle. It's hard to have people, hey, okay, I need you to focus. Can you give me 20 minutes? If you give me 20 solid minutes of focus, go zone out for 10 minutes. I don't care. That's fine.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and I think learning that balance is very critical in our work environments now.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Were you teaching during COVID?
No, actually, because I teach in a prison.
Oh,
I was teaching a credit class, and we had already finished probably 60-70% of the lab work. So I uploaded what they needed to like help finish the theory side of things, and we were able to like deal with that class online. But my prison class, we just had to wait until we went back. Now a lot of my students were getting out, and I was allowing some of them the opportunity to come to my shop and do a one-on-one to finish the hours that they needed, if that was
what?
something that they were wanting. So I did that a little bit, but for the most part, it actually made me sit on my butt and do a lot of self-reflection, which I really needed, and it allowed me to do the back end work that I needed to establish my business. So it actually worked out pretty well for me.
Now I want to talk about this teaching in prison part. Like this is something I know of one company, it's called Refoundry, that's here in
Mhm.
Los Angeles and also in New York. That also has that type of opportunity to go and teach people who are coming out of jail to like re-establish them into society. So what
Yeah.
does your program look like?
Okay, so mine is through the community college, Austin Community College here. And we work, we actually have a mini lab set up basically. So we built a cage inside their gym, and we have trainers, which are basically, think about a 4 foot by 3 foot welding table with a wall in the middle. And then there's a shelf underneath for their welding equipment and bags. We use a Miller Multimatic 200,
Hmm.
so it's nice and compact. We can run off of 110. And in that cage, we have, all of our supplies are in this cage. I think it's like almost 30 feet long and about 8 feet deep. So it's a pretty good sized cage. We
Yeah.
do 12 to 14 students a class, and everything is contained in there. And so I go in and we just teach, we roll everything out. It's a basic intro to multi-process class.
Hmm.
So we spend a couple weeks on stick, a couple weeks on MIG, flux core, TIG, and then I like to torture them with making a cube so that they can get the experience. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to make.
Sure,
I
sure.
make them make a 6 inch cube where they learn how to, lay out, do the basic measurements, understand square, the basics of it. So by the time they're done, they have a very good helper position skill set. And most of them will start out as a helper, or they can even transfer into college, like a regular college after that class. So it's a legit welding class. It's the same class we teach for our continuing ed side in the free world.
I absolutely love that. I wish
Yeah,
more institutions would actually do that, so that they can better prepare themselves to do something different,
yeah,
focus. And you know what? Have you noticed that they have like those moments of epiphany where this is what their calling should be, right? Like
yeah. They
what
have
I was
those.
doing before isn't working for me clearly. So this is
Mhm.
my path. So how many moments have you had like that?
Oh man, a lot of them. But for me, what happens more in the prisons is I spend probably 80% of the time mentoring,
Mhm.
and 20% of the time actually teaching them like the technical stuff of the welding, right? Because when you teach women, especially women in prison, there's so much of getting over the fear of making mistakes. Their entire life has been a preset, this is who they are, this is their story, this is their script, this is who they are. They're a failure, they're all of these things, right? And then when you're in prison, you're told what to do. You don't, you're just another number. Literally, you're just a number. They don't even call you by your name most of the time. So to take them and then like use welding as a tool to help them empower themselves. And the first thing I say is you need to embrace your mistakes. Go fuck it up. It's okay. Like, it's okay. In this class, you are allowed to fuck things up. Trust
Yes.
me, you're not going to break anything in this class that I haven't been able to fix or that we can't take care of. You,
Yes.
but if you don't make those mistakes, you're never going to grow. You're never going to give yourself the space to grow. And what I find usually happens is that 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 is the key to them understanding the welding. Like what we teach in that class, there's so much to learn in welding that what we teach in that class is there's so little, right? In the
Sure.
grand scheme of things, but to get them to enjoy the welding and then have the courage and confidence to seek it once they get out. That's my goal. If I can get them to want to do this when they get out and have the confidence to try something that they've never tried before, then that's winning for me in this class.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that mindset, period, with women. But for people who are so browbeaten into submission, thinking that this is all that they have
yeah,
look forward to is to go to jail, and to show them a different path and to make them so confident in it. Oh, Kate says she'll see you tonight.
yeah,
Thank you, Ben. I absolutely love it. That's part of the whole grand scheme of things, is just to try to articulate that to somebody in a way that they're confident enough to do it without you.
yeah,
Whether they're in jail or whether they're just, taught that women shouldn't be in a particular place, or they just have low confidence, period. I
yeah,
absolutely love that mindset. That's important.
yeah. And for me, I think a lot of people don't understand why people repeat, right? Men, women, whoever. But a
Sure.
lot of it is they think that their story is already written, and
Yeah.
with welding we can use that as a tool to say no, you have the ability at any age and at any point to change your story, and this is your opportunity to do that. Let's give you the skills to do that. Let's give you the mental fortitude to do it. Let's give you the support that you need to do it, and then look, there's a trade that you can make a living that can help you do that as well.
I love that. Now, do you have like particular reasoning why you wanted to work with these ladies, or this was just another opportunity to extend your teaching?
So I was just teaching our regular CE classes, and my boss was like, "Hey, you're gonna teach in the prison," and I was like, "The heck I am! I'm not going in a prison to teach. You lost your mind." And he was like, "No, that's what you're doing." And I was like, "Okay, well, I don't know about that." And he goes, "Okay, well, you're gonna go work with the maintenance crew for a week and build this cage for us, and then you'll know if you're okay." And I went in, and I had such a great time connecting with the ladies that work maintenance, building this cage and teaching them a little bit more basic skills so that they could do things like this. That I was like, oh, no, no, I can actually do this. This is cool. I'm down. And then from there, it's just been like I had no idea how much I had forgotten how much I loved to teach welding,
I love that.
and because I'd been so burned out, and it was the thing that I needed to reignite my happiness in my life. And it was also came right at the end of the ending of a bad relationship, so it's like
Sure.
this perfect timing to like help me rebuild myself.
No, that's interesting. I swear, metal welding is therapy almost every single time we have these conversations. Like, there's always an opportunity for you to better yourself, even if it's just art or talking to somebody or creating a different lane as far as welding is concerned. It has always provided an avenue of therapy for me since
Yeah,
day, because I was
absolutely.
actually going through a divorce when I got into welding, which is hilarious. it,
Yeah,
it truly does, like, it kind of like quenches those demons in your head, at least for me, because they're going to be there regardless, and you have to
yeah,
provide outlets so that you just don't make yourself insane. And welding absolutely does that. And I think, and I'm not a man, so obviously I can't speak for a man, but I think women, we overthink everything so much, and we
so
just
much.
ourselves into submission, thinking that we got to have this, maintain this certain idea of perfectionism, and we're so critical. But when you start welding, it's just you and the arc, man, and
Yeah.
it's so effing soothing. And it's funny because I explain that when it comes to stick welding, like, that's my process, right? And people,
Hmm.
well, it's TIG or MIG or underwater, whatever, but because I have a crazy brain, and it's always going off the charts on things.
Yeah.
Like, stick welding is that therapy for me where it's still violent, but it's beautiful and
Yes.
and I control it, you know, and it's just
Yeah.
like, you're like, what? It's so hard and it burns you. And I was like, it's beautiful.
Yeah. No, there's so many times where I'm just so stressed out, and I'll go get in the booth and I'll just run some vertical 7018s, or I'll
Yeah.
just, run some 6010s. It's that violence for sure, like that just it's like breaking something without actually having to break something, and then you just have this satisfaction. Like there's just so many times I've just put the hood down and run beads.
Hmm.
Just beads, no fabricating, no nothing. Just keep it simple. Take it back to the basics, and it helps so much.
Well, imagine someone who's in jail. Like, imagine how therapeutic it can be for them because like, I have never been to jail, but I can only imagine the certain marriage was like jail to me.
Yeah, right.
I hope he doesn't see it.
It's okay. He probably
Sorry, kids, I
didn't
was
hear
kidding.
that.
In some ways, but it's very, very cathartic, and so to
Yeah,
provide that to somebody as an outlet as opposed to creating whatever they did to go to jail, like
yeah.
huge. That's definitely huge.
And it's also big for me to like create a space that they feel comfortable enough connecting on a human to human basis. I know that this is probably only 2 hours that 4 hours they're going to get, whatever it is, to actually have a human human connection. And I'm like, let's do that. We're gonna do that.
I love that. I hope more jails offer that opportunity because I know there's places for them to learn and do certain trades, whatever. And I've
Hmm.
been trying to get into one for 1 year now, and they barely message me back. Did I tell you about this? That they
Yeah.
barely back after I messaged them legit a year ago, and they sent me
Wow.
a message. I was like, finally, and he was like,
Yeah.
contact me in a couple of months because the Los Angeles program is opening up, and I was like, yes, only
Nice.
because. And I have a very interesting and very rich background. I was, definitely a wild teen. I was a teen mom and I was in the drugs and alcohol. So
Hmm.
I to like connect on so many ways to people. I've never been to jail, thank God. Not yet.
Yeah. Right.
But I do know, there is life away from being a
Yeah.
heathen. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
want to provide that as well. It's nice to see that there's more programs opening up like that for women. So
Yeah, and I think because the women are is the population that's growing the quickest, and men have had these trade programs for so long that I think it's time for these jails and prisons to really start focusing on doing the same things on the women's side of things as they did on the males. Uh,
yeah.
just because it's like there's so many more of them now than there used to be.
Right. Now, hey Vettel, you were talking about providing space in your shop. Now, I saw you recently got a large space that we're talking about. Will you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Now my shop is a roughly 1,000 square feet. Now it's got a really tall ceiling and it looks really big, but it's really not that big. But I went from about 300 square feet
Hmm.
to 1,000 square feet. So for me, that's huge. And that happened back in March of this year. I just got lucky and started getting some clients and was able to actually move into my own shop. I was at my brother's shop. He was super sweet and kind enough to let me work out of there to start my business out. And then
Okay.
I just got to a point where I could actually move into my own. I would love to keep expanding it and at some point provide space for folks to rent out a small little section that's affordable because we're in Austin. And
Yeah.
Austin is giving LA a run for its money on the cost of everything. So I
Hmm.
would love to be able to help provide space for folks who just need a little bit of space and maybe some tool rental or something to that effect just to get started or to make that next move that they need to do.
Creator spaces are actually becoming very popular out here, and I think it's a smart move because a lot of people want to create or be artistic. They
Hmm.
don't necessarily have like somewhere to start, or they don't have the investment to start a machine, proper PPE, metal, a space. A lot of
Yeah,
places only running 110. So that's a very smart move. I think anybody that has a little bit of extra space to start creating, a little an extra booth here or an extra booth here, and then all of a sudden you got a welding school.
that's right. That's right. And that's how it works, right? my partner and I are probably in the next year looking to buy about 30 plus acres, a little bit
Sweet.
outside of, yeah, outside of Austin, and we want to build the shop out there and open that up as well. And one of the things that the goal is to bring the women as they get out of prison and give them an opportunity to have a living wage apprenticeship program with the potential to have like tiny houses and stuff like that if they need housing help, because that is the two major things why people repeat are housing and lack of a living wage job.
Sure.
So why don't we just provide those things and help them? And then after 6 months or a year, if they want to move on to a different company, they've got a full 6 months to a year under their belt, and they can go find another space that works for them.
Well, and you're also providing them skills, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to learn how to build these things. They're going to learn how to navigate the business. And, like they're going to be involved in so many things just because it's all right there in their face and space. So that's really smart.
Yeah,
Not necessarily something feasible in California just because of real estate.
yeah.
But it's ideas that have been tossed around. I know. I keep saying I'm moving to Texas, but not Texas quite yet. Like quite yet. Quite yet. Hear that?
Yeah, I hear it. I hear it.
No,
You're
no,
welcome
no. I,
anytime.
it's things are very politically charged in California, and welding school is definitely the end game for myself.
Yeah.
But in California, whew, let me tell you, real estate median house income is $650,000. So imagine, just industrial space and
Oh
acreage,
yeah.
not the business. Especially,
Yeah.
I was in real estate investment. I don't even want to look at the numbers, dude. It's
Mm-mm.
scary.
Yeah,
So
Austin's getting that way too. In particular, it's
I'm
like
sorry.
I'm from
I know
here,
it's
so
us moving there. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, it's I'm from here, and so I've seen it go from a smaller little town to what it is now. And the average, I think the median house prices in Austin are like over $500,000.
Yeah, it's like that
Yeah,
here. You're just outside of Austin area,
yeah.
correct?
I had to go out to the boonies a little bit to get to get into my shop, which is in my price range. I'm in Kyle, which is about 30 to 45 minutes from like downtown Austin South. So
I love that. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about it because I think it's time. So, we have an event that's actually going to be held today, correct?
that's right.
Would you
That's
tell us
right.
what the heck I'm talking about?
All right, so we are doing a women in metalworking meetup. I know that's kind of a mouthful to say, but I didn't want to just be women welders. I wanted it to be anyone who works in metal, whether that's people who are designers, whether that's people who do jewelry, art metals, welders, fabricators, business owners. If you're just even interested in it and you want to like come ask questions, that's what I want. And so that's why I did. I was like, I don't know what else to call it, but the
All in
metal
color. Yeah.
metal worker. If you are a metal worker or want to be a metal worker, come on out. You identify in the women's space, come on out. Like that's where we're at. Fronius is going to be here in a little bit to set up. He said he's got 3 machines that we're going to get to play with.
Oh,
Red Ball. Yeah, Red Ball is our local welding supply company. Their home base is Shreveport, but they have quite a few in the Texas area. And so our local Red Ball company is going to bring snacks and some free giveaways, and
cool.
we're going to have adult beverages and sober beverages. So for whatever level of sobriety you're at, we got you. So you can eat some snacks, you can drink some beverages, and meet other people, other women who are in the industry.
I love that. I love that. Now, have you had people RSVP? I know, what was it, 2 weeks ago that we did the teaser? A week ago? I'm
Yeah,
awful. Sorry.
we've had a few people RSVP. I know it's not as common to do nowadays as it used to be, but I feel like there's been a huge buildup in the last couple of days. So I
Yeah.
think this has potential to have quite a few people. I'm
Cool.
estimating anywhere between 10 and 50 women to come out
I
to the
love
shop.
it.
Yeah.
I can't take so many pictures, please. I'll make a reel
Yeah.
for you afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, and I've actually
All
had people
about the
reach
reel.
out to me from out of state wanting to know how they can do like from online, and while I didn't have enough time to figure that out this time, I think the next time we do one, we'll make it to where you could like zoom in or something like that.
Cool. Well, you could always go live so we could see. I'm just
It's
saying.
true.
Social media is your friend.
It's true. I may have to figure out how to do that. I am a bit of an old fart when it comes to that stuff, so
You navigated this just fine. Give
that's
yourself
fine.
credit.
We'll figure it out though.
That's very cool. I love that. Let me think. Let me think. So, is this something that you may perhaps do every few months, perhaps, or?
Yeah, this is something I think that Austin and Central Texas in particular have quite a large group of women that work in the metal industry.
Mhm.
So I think that this is something that could sustainably be done every whatever time frame we figure out, maybe a couple months. And I think we're going to move it. My plan is to move it around, not just at my shop, but other people's shops, and even occasionally like a brewery or a restaurant, some space, because Austin has a lot of big spaces that could handle something like that, where we could just do a more social, less in the shop setting, just to kind of mix it up.
Sure. I love that. You know what would be a great opportunity is for small businesses who are just opening up, or if they've had issues with staying productive during the pandemic, because this will bring a whole different demographic that they may
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily know that they, these are their neighbors. These are, their friends of friends. Word of mouth is very, very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting networking events is huge. I don't think people understand that's how you do it. That's how you get into this industry and you move around in this industry is network, network, network. And so the more I can help provide networking events, the better. That's like the former welding instructor. That's the welding instructor department chairperson in me, right? Like
Mhm.
this is how we do it. This is how we find other people.
Do it. I
Yeah.
love it. So, how do we find you tonight? Where are we at?
Um, check on the Instagram. I seems like I probably will be doing a live at some point. And then the address and everything has been posted on my Instagram. So if you're in the Central Texas area or even in Texas and want a nice little drive, check it out. We're in Kyle, so it's about 30 minutes south of Austin. And come check us out. And we'll be here from 6 to 8. Now, if the party goes on, the party goes on. Now I have a hot date tonight with my lovely partner, so there will be a part where I'll be like, "Hey, it's been fun,
You
but
don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
yeah, I gotta lock up. You can hang out, but I'm locking up."
I'm out. All right, you guys. And I told you I was going to keep you too long. I wanted to hear more. You have such a compelling story, and you're an instructor with, a great rich history, and I love it, love it, love it. And I absolutely just love the fact that you're extending your experiences to other women. So I wanted people to get a more personalized view of you before. Last time it was such a rapid fire succession. I
Yeah,
don't feel got enough information. I mean, it was great, you know what I mean? But I wanted to hear more. And every time we chat, I always want to hear more and more and more. So, uh,
yeah,
if you get some type of workshop going on, call me. I will fly out. Like
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
you already know we have something else working up possibly in the future too.
Hey,
So
there you go.
go public with that one, hopefully. um but I'm gonna let you go and get to do what you need to do, and I will repost. That's why I was writing stuff down. But if you guys want to go to the women's metalworker meetup, it's going to be in the greater Austin area in
Mhm.
Kyle. Check out Brooke's page, and I'm going to tag everything. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and good luck. And if you do the live, oh my god, text me, call me, let me know. I want to
I
hear.
will. I
Okay,
will.
good
Thank you
luck.
so much for this.
Of course, absolutely. Have a great time tonight, and I will see
All
you later.
right. All
All
right.
right,
Bye.
bye.